In this tutorial, I'm going to pretty much cover everything related to the Exxcel Advanced Filter and the Exxcel VBA Advanced Filter coming right up. So what I'm going to do first is show you a completed Exxcel VBA Advanced Filter application, go through how I do the queries, and then a little later in this video, I go through how I built it. Sounds good? So what I've got here is a list of blog posts, roughly 45 or so in all, pertaining to my business programmer website. And we're going to do some queries relating to VBA. So if I type VBA into the page URL part of the criteria and I click extract, what we're going to do is get blog posts where the page URL began with VBA. Now, what if I want blog posts where VBA appears any place in the post? Well, all I simply have to do is put an asterisk before VBA. And if I extract it now, we now have a list of blog posts where VBA appears anywhere in the data. So for example, VBA is in the middle here, it's in the end here, and it's in the beginning here. So what if you just want blog posts where VBA is at the end of the row? What we're going to do is, again, we're going to go up to our criteria, which is page URL. I'm going to put in a single quote, then I'm going to put in an equal sign, then I'm going to put in an asterisk, which is the wildcard, which says give me everything. And then I'm going to put in the criteria, which is in this instance VBA. So what I'm saying here is give me everything before VBA, but I don't want anything to be after VBA, and that's what the equal sign does, which says basically I want exactly this, nothing after the VBA, but you got to put a single quote before the equal sign, otherwise it just won't work. So press enter, and I'm now going to do extract, and here you can see you've got data where the criteria only exists at the end. I can also do a filter in place and we'll get the same result. So by filtering in place, we've got our data filtered just to find those records. I'm going to clear my data range by clicking my reset filter macro button. I'm going to show you something now that isn't in the regular, shall we say, VBA toolkit, but you can absolutely do it. Check this out. I'm going to say find record. So I want to find the records where VBA is at the end of the row. So there's the first one in the data set, there's the second one, there's the third one, there's the fourth one. And notice the way I'm coding this, the button changes to find next, and now it's changed to find previous because there's nothing after that particular record. I'll click it again, it's found the previous cell, the previous cell, the previous row, and it just keeps iterating like that. And I can now click reset filter and bring everything back to normal. I'm going to be showing you how to do this, and this spreadsheet will be available for you to download. Let's just find something exact. So I'm just going to put this into the criteria and I'm going to do find record. This also isn't in the standard Exxcel VBA toolkit, but you'll be able to do it with this. Delete matching row. Watch, when I press this button, that row is going to disappear from your data. Warning, this will delete some of your data. Good to go. That's a message we've put into the code. Yes, bang, the data's gone. Okay, so let's look at setting up an advanced filter from first principles. So here we've got some data. Now, some things to note. So first of all, your data is going to need some headers. So let's just put some of those in now. It's got to have headers for the advanced filter to work. So we just use those headers that I've copied in. I am going to, on the keyboard, press my Control and my asterisk key. Now this is the equivalent of select special current region. So if you try that on your computer, Control asterisk, click on a cell and Control asterisk. Now this demonstrates a particular point. The actual data that you want to be the database part of your advanced filter mustn't be touching anything else. So for example, in this instance, we want to delete this rubbish here and we want to delete this. So basically, when you do a equivalent of Control asterisk, which is the same as pressing the F5 key, clicking on special and clicking on current region, you need to have this rectangle appear whenever you're working with an advanced filter or with data ranges. They've got to be clean. Each column's got to have a header, and the data range mustn't touch anything else. So the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to insert some rows above the data range, and I'm going to create a criteria range. Now, the criteria range could literally just be, like, for example, what we did earlier. It could just be this, or you could have a criteria range that's the complete, that's everything there, because maybe you want to do queries on any one element of this. So for now, I'm just going to copy up the complete header, but it can be just any one of the headers or any combination of them. And we're going to create an extract range. And as mentioned earlier, the extract range can be a combination of anything. So for example, I can put year here as well, and so we'll have year appear twice. Years ago I did that to create custom reports, so I looped over data and I could get custom reports for subsets of the data. Let's do it via the menu now. So I'm going to go to Data, Advanced Filter, and I'm going to select a list range, and the list range is going to be this, and I'm going to copy to another location. I've got to give it a criteria range, which in this instance is going to be this. This of course is me doing it manually rather than in code, and I'm going to copy it to this range here, and if I go click OK, we get all of the data. Now obviously this gets to be a little bit of a pain because you got to select the ranges each time, but you know, this is doing it without code. So let's just put in VBA again into here, or let's say I want stuff ending with VBA, which is single quote equals asterisk VBA. So now I'm going to do advanced filter, and it's remembered the list, in fact it's remembered everything. Copy to another location, hit OK. So there we have our sub report, which is showing page URLs that end in VBA. That's the basics of the list. Now you will notice that the advanced filter area does not have functionality to find records or delete records like I showed you how to do earlier. I've been using hidden functionality in the VBA element of this because basically I've been using functionality that comes from Exxcel 4, which was deprecated, but it's still available under the hood. Don't build stuff that's mission critical for this, but you know, these commands have existed now for 30 years, so it's unlikely that they're going to be taken away. Okay, so now let's code up the situation I showed you earlier together. Okay, that's done that. Let's go to the developer tab. If you don't have the developer tab enabled on your spreadsheet, you just go File, Options, and click on Customize Ribbon, and just make sure that Developer is clicked. Okay, so let's do some housekeeping. First of all, we're going to give our sheet a name. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting code behind this sheet that contains the data. So I'm just going to Alt-Tab into the Visual Basic Editor, and I'm going to give the code name of the sheet, just call it, I suppose, just sheet data. And I'm going to give the tab name just the name data sheet. There we go, and you can see the tab has changed there. So now let's put some buttons onto the form. So we just go, and I'm going to click on the insert. I'm going to use ActiveX, not forms, and let's just draw a little button. And I'm just going to Alt-Tab again to the Visual Basic Editor and drag up my properties window, and I'm going to call this command extract, and the caption will be extract. So for speed, I'm just going to resize this button a little bit, go back to the tab and change the font size to make it a little bit bigger. Let's not say 14, let's say 18. Okay, that looks a bit better, and I'm going to make it red. And I'll go with bold. So we now have our extract button, and for speed I'm going to just copy the button and I'm going to paste it a few times. So we've got extract. So now I'm going to move these buttons around, and I'm going to put that one there, that one there, and we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need 5 buttons. So if I put those 5 buttons together, And now I'm going to click on this button and I'm going to change the name to filter in place. So that's going to be command filter in place, and I'm just going to change its caption to filter in place, and I'm going to change this button to reset filter and its caption to reset filter. That's that one done. And this one, delete matching row. Okay, that's those set up. So now let's just create the click events for them. So because I've named these buttons, if you go to the drop down here, we've got command extract, and then we'll get, what's the next one? Filter in place, command filter, and I want reset filter, and I'm going to want delete matching row. And I'm just going to put some stops in here. Okay, so let's first of all do the simple extract. What I'm going to do is create some range objects. So we'll do set range data equals, now when you're in, we are in the code sheet that's behind sheet 1. So a quick way to reference the spreadsheet that your code is encapsulated within is to use a keyword called me. So I type me.range, open back, the microphone gets in the way of me seeing the keyboard. Me.range, let's say C7.current region. So that's range data. Set range range crit equals me.range. Now I want the criteria to be 2 rows, so it's going to be 2 rows. The first row for the headers and the second row for the items I'm going to put into the criteria. Now in addition to that, the criteria rows can be more than 1 row if you want to put in multiple OR style criteria. So for example, give me rows containing VBA or give me rows containing Python. So what would happen is in that instance, the data would extract, would show you a report containing both Python and VBA. In fact, I can even demonstrate that to you. So this piece is actually recorded out of sequence because I just remembered that I forgot to show you that. So let's say, for example, we want to see something pertaining to, let's say, data hiding. So if I type DATA, well, let's just type data and see what we get. So if I do extract, we've got the data hiding row. But say I want to do a query which is based on data hiding and VBA. So I can type data here and I can type VBA under it. Now what happens is, the way I've programmed this is the criteria becomes this. So what we're actually saying is, give me data related to, give me rows related to data and give me rows related to VBA. The actual logic is called an OR query because we're getting data or we're getting VBA, which means it'll give us records pertaining to data as well as records pertaining, and additionally records pertaining to VBA. So if we extract this, we've got, you can see 2 rows with VBA in them and 1 with data hiding in it. So for example, if I wanted to get a query whereby I want the record to contain both VBA and data, and in this instance I can say there's nothing like that, what I would do is I would copy the page URL to here. So what we've got in column C, I've got a criteria header of page URL, and in column D I've got a criteria header of page URL. Now if I copy VBA into there, I'll just type it VBA and I delete it here, our criteria now looks like this. So we're saying, hey, I need to have both VBA and data in the page URL column, and in this instance we're going to get no records with that, and there we go, we don't have any records with that. But if we look here, we can see that we have does and VLOOKUP in the same row. So if I were to type VLOOKUP and does here and do extract, okay, let's try it again. So VLOOKUP with an asterisk before it and does with an asterisk before it, extract, and there we have it. So remember, when we're dealing with the advanced filter, the wildcard is assumed to the right hand side of the criteria, but to the left hand side you need to explicitly put in a wildcard. Hope that helps. So set range crit equals me.range, let's see, I'm going to go C1.current region. Now that will allow us to have more than one row, just to demonstrate this particular aspect. And that's the advantage of using VBA for your advanced filter, because you can just get things working at the press of a button. Now the extract range is different insofar as the extract range always only contains the header. If you contain more than the header, you will restrict the size of the extract that's going to come out of the data. So for example, if your extract range has 3 rows including the header, you're only going to get 2 rows of data extracted. Now you could also put in range names, but for brevity I'm just putting in the addresses here. So J7. Now J7, I'm going to use that current region again. So if I were to do J7.current region, just to show you, this is what the current region would look like, okay? But we don't want that. What we want is this. So how do I change that back? I do me.range J7.current region dot resize 1 row. Okay, so that's all of that set up, and now all I have to do is range data dot advanced filter, copy, criteria range is range crit, and extract range is range ext. Let's have a look and see, does this work? And let's of course take out the stop button. So here we go. I'm going to put in create, but if I do extract and create, let me just switch off design mode. So it's now in run mode, extract. So that's the stuff that's got create in it. So yeah, I put create there for the page URL. So there's 3 records beginning with create. So I wonder, is there anything containing create? So if I put a asterisk there and I extract, yeah, we got some more stuff with create. So how to create, okay? So yeah, the filter is working. Now let's do filter in place. So if I go back to my VBA editor, so I'll just do filter here. So what all I have to do in this instance is copy the code that's there. So command filter is just filter. Yeah, so that's not, so let's just do this. Oh yeah, I need to put in another button. Control C, Control V. I'm just going to get this button here, reset filter, command find, and the caption here is going to be find record. And I'm just going to add command find there, so we put a stop there so we get that code as well. It's the same code as the extract, except instead of having filter copy, I do filter in place, and I don't need the range extract because we're not using it, so I take that out. But before I do any of that, before I even run that, I want to get the reset filter working. So let's put in the reset filter command now, and it's simply me, meaning the spreadsheet, me.show all data, and that's that. So let's just see where we're at. So if I go back to the spreadsheet, switch off design mode, so I can click extract and we get everything because I've got no filter in there. Some people usually say I've got no filter. So filter in place, let's do that again. Let's reset the filter, filter in place, reset filter, extract there. Okay, so we've got extract, we got filter in place, we've got reset filter. Now let's get to the magic of finding the records. I'm going to stay in run mode now, and I'm going to Alt Tab, and I'm going to go to the find record one, command find, and here we go. Application dot execute Exxcel4 macro, caps lock on, data.find. Now here's the thing, for the Exxcel4 macros to work, what used to happen behind the scenes in Excel was it would range name the data range as database, it would range name the criteria range as criteria, and it would range name the extract range as extract. So for these Exxcel4 macro commands to work, that has to happen in the code. Well, it can happen manually. If you range name these manually using range names, you can get the same effect. But we're going to do it in code for speed. So here we go. So dim, turn off my caps lock, range data as range, range crit as range. Now, so let's set it up again. I'm just going to, for speed, copy in the code here. Now, here's where we give it its names. Range data.name equals database. I'm going to leave it like this, but I'm going to say if range crit.rows.count equals 1, then end if message box. You need to enter a criteria, and let's put in a carriage return ampersand VBCRLF ampersand dude. Okay, and I can do VB information and give it a title. Okay, so, and then exit sub, because we don't want our code breaking, do we? And then range crit.name equals criteria in quotes and with a capital C. So basically what we got here is we're range naming the database and the criteria area with the range names database and criteria, and then we execute the application.execute Excel4 macro data.find command. Let's see if that works. Nice. Now the reason it was showing up in cyan in the other spreadsheet, the spreadsheet that I'll actually give you as part of this download, is I put in extra code to make this cyan. But I just want to keep to the basics here. Okay, so find record, that is working. So now all we got to do is put in the code for delete matching row, and that's going to be similar. Okay, so now let's do the delete matching row part. So let's just copy in our code again for range naming everything and applying the database name and the criteria name to the stuff. And now application execute Excel4 macro data.delete. And these are actually Excel4 macro commands. But you know, I mean, really, when Microsoft updated Excel, they kind of took away a lot of powerful features out of it. I guess they were afraid users were going to sort of mess up their spreadsheets or whatever. But there's some really powerful commands here. I'm going to insert a record that I don't mind losing. So I'm just going to click insert here, and I'm just going to call it Sean was here and business programmer. And what we're going to do is we're going to delete business programmer. So just to be sure, what I'm going to do first of all is find record, and there's business programmer. Okay, and now I'm going to do delete matching row. So if I were to highlight this in a particular color, let's give it this blue, and let's see if that gets deleted. Delete matching row. Bang, gone. Doesn't this stuff excite you? Now remember, for these Excel4 macro commands to work, your criteria must be range named criteria, your data range must be range named database, and your extract range, if you're doing some Excel4 macro stuff on extract, must be range named, you got it, extract. Check this out, one more thing. I mean, this might just make you giddy. So I'm going to go to my immediate window, and I'm going to do application.execute Excel4 macro, and I'm going to put in data.form, and I'm going to press enter, which means you could put this in your macro code as well. And let's see what we get. Oh my giddy cat, we got us a data form. So with the data form, you can just go up and down, see all your data, find next, find next, find next. I guess this would be based on your criteria. Actually, I don't know what this is doing, to be quite honest. When I do find next, find previous, it's just giving me pretty much everything at criteria. Let's click on criteria. There we go. You can click on criteria, and now I can put into the page URL business programmer. In fact, I'm just going to put in busin and see what I get. And do I get anything? I get BUSIN. I don't understand that. I really don't understand why that is giving me something. I put in, let me go to criteria again, BUSIN. So what has that got to do with in the page URL? I'm massively confused now. Let's just do VBA and see what happens. Okay, so it's given me that. I guess if there's no if the criteria doesn't work, I guess it gives you everything. Let's just check this. Put in a load of rubbish. Find next. find previous. Yeah, so I guess there's some kind of bug in Microsoft's code whereby if you put in some absolute rubbish into the form, it'll just throw you something. But if you put in something that makes sense, like data hiding because I can see data hiding here in page URL. So I'll type data, H-I-D-I-N-G, data hiding, find next, there we go, find previous. Okay, so that's a useful form. And of course, you've got new if you want to create a new record. So I'm going to go close that. So yeah, didn't I tell you that this is probably going to be the best advanced filter tutorial out there? I'm going to embed this in the blog post that's going to go along with this tutorial as well. And there you can download the spreadsheet. The link is going to be up there. Thanks for watching.